Hello everyone, and welcome back to my Minecraft series, The Creation of Dhirim, where I'm taking this small little island here and trying to recreate the city of Dhirim from Mountain Blade Warband. Now, in this episode, we're going to be going from a nice little farm to a small village. And for this, I decided that we need at least 3 extra buildings to get some more people in here and actually become a village so we could start expanding into a city. Now with this, one of the first things I started doing was cutting down some trees and clearing some land to put my first house. Now this is going to be more of a woodcutter's hut for someone to cut down all this birch wood that I got. And you'll be seeing later on that these houses will present a purpose, at least story-wise. You'll see later. Now you might notice that I'm not really sure what I want to do with the houses and how to make them up. I'm kind of a go with the flow kind of guy most of the time. And you'll notice that I take a minute to really decide what I want here, and I change it later on. And that's something you'll notice with the whole village as we go forward, that I'm going to be making changes. And just like here, you can see I didn't really know where I wanted to put the door, and it just confused me for a minute on exactly how I wanted to do everything. But yeah, as the village grows, as we get more people, and as we more or less unlock more technologies, the buildings in the village are going to change. They're going to become more advanced, they're going to look better, they're going to become bigger. And it's just a way of representing that the village is growing and becoming more of a city with more resources and people. Now, halfway through I decided I got a lot of flowers and I need to make my own chest for these flowers because they will be useful later on for making dyes. With that, we finished up furnishing our first house, the woodcutter's hut. And for some reason I decided to use whole glass blocks instead of panes for the windows. Like I said, I'll be making some changes later on. And with that, it was time to decide where to put the second house. Now I decided I wanted a fishery, because fish and fishing is a nice way of getting food, resources, and experience. If you don't know what resources I'm talking about enchanted equipment. Fishing is just one of the best ways to get enchanted equipment, and it will really help me out later on. Now I decided a fishery couldn't be much of a fishery without a dock for you to fish from. Makes sense, right? But another thing I had to consider, that even though this was the beginning of the village and things weren't gonna look the best, I still wanted to make sure things looked good enough for villagers to actually come to my village and settle, or otherwise there wasn't much of a point, you know? And one thing I wanted to point out about this house is I didn't exactly know what to do with 4 windows. Obviously I wanted to have windows because a house without windows is pretty boring. But with it being halfway in the dirt, it didn't make it easy to figure out what to do with making the windows and where to put them. As you can see, they're not in the best spot, but they work. That's all I can really say about the windows for this house, is they work. It's nothing grand. And with that, I decided it was time to make our third and final house for the moment, which was going to be another woodcutter's hut. Since I have a birch forest and an oak forest, I decided I needed to have two woodcutter's huts that will procure these different wood species for me. Now, the oak wood's going to be primarily used for building and construction, as it is just the most common building type of wood that everyone appreciates. You can see here, for some reason I decided to go with 2 doors instead of 1. It's not needed, but again, I'm a go with the flow kind of guy, and this is just what was flowing at that moment. Now, I know some of you are probably going to say, John, your roofs aren't very interesting. They're not very well constructed. They're not very appealing to the eyes, so to speak. And all I gotta say to that is, hey, they will change later on. They will get better, just like I said, when the village improves, everything will get better later on. It's just for the moment, the roofs are going to be kind of flat and boring. But at least I use logs to provide some diversity in the outlook. And the what? There's some diversity to the architecture? I don't know what you want to call it. But it's not made out of all just oak planks, because that would be unbearable if that's the extent of what I had. Now, that was going to be the end of this episode, but once again, I didn't record enough. This wasn't going to be long enough for a video, so we got a second part coming. But for right now, we're going to do a little pan over of the island, see how the village is looking, and our nice, beautiful new homes. And I even took a second to get a pan over of the island at night to show you that I am spending the resources to make torches and trying to get rid of some of the enemy mobs. So I hope to one day be able to walk around at night without a care in the world. To continue with this episode of turning this small little farm into a village, a small village, one of the first things I want to point out is that villagers have come to the farm. People are interested on living on this little island with me and creating the city of Dhirim. Another thing you might notice is that they have a chest outside of their house with some resources. This chest is pretty much going to represent their taxes to me. That's right. Since I'm the one that settled this land, I am basically now their landlord that provided these houses for them and the land of which to perform their work. So they are going to pay taxes. Right now, those forms of taxes are in materials, building materials. Like, for example, the woodcutters are going to be presenting me with logs to turn into charcoal and building materials. While on the other hand, the fishery is going to be giving us fish, food. And this will change later on as buildings get leveled up and upgraded, increased, and there's more population. The demand for things will change. Now, you might notice here that I started going on quite the landscaping spree. Yes, I don't know if I've said it already or not. I'm sure I have, but I want to get everything to ground level 70. I want that to be my base ground level for the village, even though that's kind of gonna put this house underneath the ground level a bit. It's gonna make everything look a lot nicer in the long run. Now, to talk a little bit more about the taxes that will be provided by my great outstanding citizens, I think these taxes are going to be collected about once a week. And again, they will be varying based on the jobs that the citizens provide to me. Such as in the future, I will have a butcherer that will provide meat, and a farmer that will provide crops and such. And yeah, later on, once everything increases and I can, quote, tax my citizens more, they will start providing emeralds as a actual form of taxation. Now, you might notice here that I tore down the fence, kind of outlining the property of the island, as it just shows that this is in fact my island. And I started upgrading it to a wall. I know. Trump would be very proud, wouldn't he? All jokes aside, it's just a small little wooden wall to help and try to keep unfriendly mobs on the outside and hopefully my villagers on the inside. Granted, right now all my villagers are kind of imprisoned in their homes, but it's for their protection. Totally their protection, and they're definitely not going to stay there forever. Now, like I said earlier, this fisher hut is really gonna get buried, almost. I mean, I'm not gonna put any dirt over top of it, but it's really underneath the ground level at this point. And let's hope it doesn't flood up here, or the villager might not be able to get out of his house due to a mudslide. Not that he's really able to get out of his house in the first place, but that's not important. Anyways, I provided a nice stepway to get to his house. I'm sure he appreciates that with the whole not being able to leave and everything. And with that, I decided to take a nice look at our brand new fancy wall made of wood. Now, like I said, this is more to just keep unfriendly mobs out once we get this whole area lit up. I don't want zombies and skeletons and stuff just walking in and ruining my nice village. Now, you might not believe it, but this is my first kill of a drowned on this map. And you would not believe he dropped a trident, the first kill of a drowned. I felt so lucky, you could not imagine. But with that, I decided that that's about going to be the end of this episode. And what better way to finish it off by replanting all the crops. Or, actually, I think I decided to redo the entire field. Might as well. I want to bring everything down to ground level 70 anyways. So yeah, I think I just redid the entire farm for a second. It's nice to be able to just speed stuff up and not take forever, You don't have to sit here and watch an hour-long video of me doing all this stuff, because it took several hours of gameplay to create all this at this point. So, if you guys enjoyed the video, if you're interested in seeing the continuation of the creation of Dhirim, don't worry, I'm not stopping anytime soon. I already have several episodes ready for editing and getting pushed out to you guys, so I hope you'll stick around and enjoy the improvements to the city of Dhirim. Thanks. Catch you next time.